Hello, this is Ross Kenyon. I am the curator of Climate Workers Anonymous. This is a collective art project modeled off of Post Secret, where those who work in climate can share the things that they feel and have experienced that maybe they don't want attributed to their own names. That can be hopeful things, that can be despairing things, it can be funny things, it can be tragic things. It can be feelings, it can be analysis. Today, we have a couple that are more on the analysis side, long ones, that I believe will certainly interest those who work in the carbon dioxide removal space. If this is your first time here, welcome. I would be supremely grateful if you could open up your podcast app right now and give this show a great rating and review, if you are so inclined. Sharing it on social media, subscribing to the show on Substack, following the show on LinkedIn. These things are also very valuable and much appreciated. Before I read today's submissions, I had an insight about the show that I wanted to share. I had a hard time articulating what exactly it was about the name that attracted me so quickly. I did a show earlier where I discussed that it may have been related to Gabor Mate's work on addiction and thinking about how the various anonymous programs have functioned and what the connection is between this name and that name. And that's definitely a part of it. For some reason, I'm not even sure how I overlooked this, but I've also been a fan and very influenced by Dorothy Day's work with the Catholic worker movement. Recently, I was by one of the remaining Catholic worker houses that's active, and I stopped by for their open house dinner, which I like to do whenever I'm in the area. And then I was like, oh, worker. Oh, this is in the title of Climate Workers Anonymous. Okay. And some part of my attraction to this phrase, which I didn't come up with, the Climate Workers Anonymous phrase, a friend of mine had said it. I'm like, oh, that's perfect. But I didn't necessarily know why I liked it so much. And then I was sitting at the Catholic worker house, and I was like, oh, that's one of the reasons why, too. If you're not familiar with the Catholic worker movement and Dorothy Day was a very, very radical woman. She was sort of a writer and a muckraking journalist and had some hard living in New York City, political radical, anarchist, socialist, and then just got bitten by the bug to go to church and read the Bible, and then became very fascinated by, as far as I understand it, the Sermon on the Mount, works of mercy, recognizing the universality between humans and that our job is to clothe the naked, feed the hungry, care for the sick, visit those in prison, but also to do it in a non-hierarchical way, to recognize that it could just as easily be the caregiver in that position as the person receiving care and vice versa, and to do it in a way that sort of prefigured a lot of the mutual aid politics that we've seen come into their own in the last couple of years in a very mainstream way. So, insofar as you are interested in the name and how it came to be, I think that explains at least part of what attracted me to this name when I first heard it. I have good associations with those things. Okay, prologue done. 2 submissions today. They're both longer and more analytical. Submission number 1. There's a story in carbon removal that everything is getting worse in the near term. Microsoft pausing, not enough buyers, VC pullback and startup consolidation, parenthetical, politely failing, and parenthetical, people leaving CDR, carbon dioxide removal, and climate for greener pastures. Some or all pathways are slower and more painful than expected. For the love of God, when will the holy grail of compliance markets bless us with more demand than we know what to do with? Parenthetical, demand that is actually in line with what the world needs. End parenthetical. I feel it. It's real. And I also see the people who have been through it in the space and, this is the crazy part, decide to double down and support the space, start new ventures, pull more money in. Some of them are doing the hardest part of project development with all their lessons learned. Many of them are making big bets on future demand. I often feel this is crazy. Are they just true believers who can't let go? People who we appreciate because they're trying to do something helpful in the world, but also pity because of their upcoming failure? Or are we just short-sighted and cynical and they will actually make a real difference for the world and a ton of money in a decade. They're certainly right that someone needs to keep global capacity alive and maturing to do CDR. Other than that, no one knows anything about how it will go. But the hope of the people coming back for a second or third round, having learned some things and trying again, means something. The hope of people staking their careers on doing something that matters and not always with financial certainty means something. The hope of all these new ventures that will mostly crash and burn, but learn something on the way and pass it on to the next set of ventures means something. And what if we've already hit the bottom? If I can't predict the future, maybe betting on CDR isn't the worst decision. Maybe it's even a good decision that just feels bad right now. Submission 2. Unrealistic targets for how much CDR can be achieved by certain years are delusional and only serve to drive collective hysteria and feed potential or actual moral hazards. We should greatly adjust our 2050 targets downward to just 2 to 3 gigatons of novel CDR and focus as much as possible on absolute decarbonization. On this thread, it would be even better for the climate to break out of the paradigm of using CDR to compensate for residual emissions and create a paradigm focused on reducing absolute emissions as close to zero as possible, while simultaneously scaling CDR not to, quote, allow us to keep emitting, end quote, but rather to reverse the damage that's already been done and that will continue to be done until we hit zero emissions. Thanks so much for the people who submitted. I'm grateful you took the time to communicate this to me and trusted me to share it. That's meaningful. If you have a thought or a feeling, criticism, a hope, come share it. There's a link in the show notes to submit on Tally. You don't have to reveal who you are. All of these are anonymous and unverified. If you like this show, tell someone about it. Subscribe on Substack or in your podcast app. Give it a great rating. Help more people find it. When this type of art project is good, it's oral history that's accreting over time and building up the true feelings of what it was like to work in the early days of climate. Maybe the middle days. I don't even know which days these are half the time. And I suspect many other people would find it worthwhile if they knew about it. So please help me get this out to a wider audience. Thanks so much for listening. I appreciate you. Have a great day.